introduce Katia, and then I'm going to hand it over to you. So Katia Dean is an accomplished cybersecurity professional and published author. She is the founder of Katia's Cylife, a cybersecurity career platform that helps new and existing cyber professionals navigate the field with confidence. She is also the recipient of the 2020 Global Rising Star Award from the ISC2. So I am going to stop my share. Yeah, and we are glad to have you, Katia. And now if you want to go ahead and share your slides, please let me know if you can't, not able to.
All right, let me see, I'm gonna share.
All right, we see it.
All right now. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Brittany. So my name is Katia Dean, and today is presentation about the blueprint to resume writing for students. The overview today, a little bit about me, what is cybersecurity, most common resume mistakes, resume tips. I have 4 brave students live resumes that I'm going to give feedback to. I promise I won't be harsh, but I will give you knowledge that will help you succeed. And then Q&A at the end. Brittany did a great introduction about myself, but I'll go a little bit in depth. My name is Katia. I won the 2020 ISC Square Global Rising Star Award, and the way I won that award is because I was helping up-and-coming cybersecurity professionals, seasoned professionals, and people that wanted to transition into cybersecurity. I was building my personal brand on LinkedIn, and one of my mentors actually nominated me for this award, and I actually got chosen. So I was very excited about this because I think it took about 2 years for me to get this award. So I was very excited about that. Then I decided to publish my first ebook, which is called The Struggle is Real, a blueprint to excelling into the cybersecurity discipline, because I wanted to share my story of being unemployed for 9 months and finding employment again. Even though I had 2 STEM degrees, 6 years of experience, I still found it difficult to find a job. So in my book, I share my experience, the ups and downs, the roller coaster rides, interviewing tips, job searching tips. And then I also had the pleasure of sharing 9 other cybersecurity professional stories as well, to make sure that the readers understand that there is no linear path to get to cyber. You can get into cyber different kind of ways. And of course, I have my own business, Katia Cylife, which is a cybersecurity business where I help, once again, students, people that transitioning, and then seasoned professionals. And when I'm not building my personal brand or helping people get into cybersecurity, currently I am a system engineer / program manager, where I facilitate various meetings within the government space. And I have done that for about 6 years. And any of my presentations, I always like to start off with what is cybersecurity. And I just love Dr. Hasib's definition of cybersecurity. And the reason why is because, as you know, in cybersecurity, most of the time it's depicted as hackers. We have to stop the bad guys. And most of the time you have to be technical, but there is also a non-technical side in cybersecurity as well. So Dr. Hasib's definition, cybersecurity is the mission-focused and risk-optimized governance of information, which maximizes confidentiality, integrity, and availability, using a balanced mix of people, policy, and technology while improving over time. And the reason why I like this definition a lot is because cybersecurity has a lot of different elements within it. You could be non-technical, you could also be technical. Maybe you're someone that likes policy, so there is a path for you in policy, so you could become a policy analyst. If you're technical, as you see in the media, you could become probably a SOC analyst or defend the networks or network engineer. So I just want everyone to know there are a lot of paths to get into cybersecurity. And if you're non-technical, there is a path for you. So on to our resume writing. So the most common mistakes that I see often in the resume is one, I have an example of a template, which we will get to some of these in the live demos. But some templates can work against you. And the reason why is because not all ATS systems is up to date. So sometimes when you upload your resume in a template, it can mess up the format of that resume. So for example, you kind of can see here, but a table is really here. And if someone was to upload that, the table will probably either disappear or maybe the font will be all over the place. So now you upload your resume, but it doesn't read across the system. And sometimes you might just automatically get the rejection email. So be mindful of templates. Sometimes I say a template is great for if you are going to email the resume to a recruiter versus having the ATS system. So just be mindful of templates. Another common mistake that I see often is, if you can notice here within this example, you have two different font sizes. You also have the tense are not correct as well. So for example, the person currently works here. However, the action verb is in past tense. So resolved, diagnosed. So if you currently work somewhere, be mindful and make sure that you have the correct action verb. Also, you want to spell check as well within your resume. That's another most common mistake. Some minor mistakes, something simple as manager could be spelled wrong. Sometimes education could be spelled wrong. So just be mindful of those common mistakes that might actually get you into the rejection pile. So as I mentioned before, some more common mistakes is long summaries. I see summaries all the time where they are like 5 sentences long, and recruiters honestly only look at your resume for about 6.5 seconds. And if one of your resume too long, they're not going to really read it. They might skim over it because sometimes they're just looking for keywords for that particular job. As I mentioned before, repeated action verbs. So someone might have assistant, 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 or someone could have lead, lead, lead. There are other action verbs that you could have within your resume. Another thing I noticed that people do as well, let's say you have been an IT support specialist, I'm going to say 5 years, and you were a IT support specialist at one company, then you went to the next company, you still was an IT support specialist. And I know that what some people do is because they cannot think of other things that they did at the current role, sometimes they would just copy and paste what they did the previous role. And one, to me, that showed that you are being lazy. Number two, I just know you did something else other than doing the same thing over and over again. So be mindful when you're doing that because recruiters can also pick up on that as well. As I mentioned before, using the wrong tense, make sure that you have the correct tense for the current role you're in or either the past role. What I'll also be seeing is if you have certifications, that's great, but make sure they are active certifications, and then make sure you put the expiration dates, the month and the date of when those certs expired. And then, of course, because we know everyone wants to transition into cybersecurity, a lot of people are not really understanding the transferable skills that you already have to get into this industry. And I'll go more into depth with that with the live demo that I have today. So some resume tips that when I glanced today, I noticed, and I'm going to harp on this a lot, is that if you are a student, please add your coursework, your projects. If you are attending any cyber related events, let's just say you attended the Hack Me or Hack Me event or hackathon event that happened during the week. add that as an event, add that as a resource on your resume, add what you learned, probably 3 or 4 bullet points, e-learning courses. It's so many things we could learn online now. As you know, YouTube University, as I call it, great place to learn stuff. Add that to your resume. If you are enrolled in Udemy courses, a Cloud Guru, I think the other one is Linux Academy, all those things, add to your resume. They will help you out in the interviewing process because that is something you could speak on. If you are developing a blog or maybe you thought about it, add that to your resume. If you are someone that like to code or something, add your GitHub site. And as I mentioned before, your summary for your resume is basically your sales pitch. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen for 5 minutes and go over to the resumes that I have for review. And hopefully I'm not going too fast talking, everyone.
You're good.
Okay, great. And don't worry, leave questions, everyone. I would definitely answer all questions. Don't be afraid. Okay, so the first person, I don't know this person's name, but they're my first person. Can everyone see? Do I need to zoom in or anything?
We can see, and guys, just keep in mind that this is someone in the audience's resume. It's just their information has been removed to protect their identity. So somebody is, if it's your resume, your resume is on screen. So
Yes. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we want to talk about the summary first. So anyone that is a student, I would also give you an example on a good student a good student summary. But I would tell you now, one action verb I cannot stand. It's just me. I cannot stand results driven. And the reason why is because it's something that recruiters see often. It's something that I see often. And it's not really giving any substance to your summary. So most of the time when I have a student resume, I normally ask the student, what kind of role do you see yourself doing? For instance, this person here has the Security Plus, kudos to you. That's a great highlight here. The person also highlighted the type of skills that they have, which is security, vulnerability, solutions, and risk. I would probably add risk management for this, and risk management in IT. Now, I don't like the word strengths too much. You could probably put a different action verb and could say, how, for example, you did put provide. So for you, I would probably go a little bit more in depth on how you could provide like network design, security framework. So for instance, if you did a project dealing with network design, then I would highlight a project that you did, like a one-liner in your summary instead, since you are a student, and keep it straight to the point. Take out a strong building passion, that they don't need to know this part. For this particular, if you're passionate about something, then this is what I said before. You can add a project to your resume to show that you are passionate about something. And this is, once again, one of those soft skills that's not really going to get you anywhere. Since you currently work at AWS as a data center technician, if I were you, I would use this to your advantage. Hopefully the person out there is listening to me. So I would use this to your advantage. Now, it might be kind of hard because you're in a data center, so I'm not for sure if you are able to network with people at the data center. However, you have the network at AWS. So if I were you, I would network with people that's already at AWS. I would see what type of roles that's at AWS and get your foot in the door that way. Because you still, since you already at Amazon or AWS, network and try to stay here if you can. Now, quickly learn new skills and apply them daily to tasks. That's not really telling the recruiter anything. That's basically, I'm going to call it entry level statement. So instead of saying quickly learn new skills, I will highlight a project or a task that you had to do that you had to learn real quickly within a data center. So for example, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe you had to configure a network server and you didn't know anything about it. So maybe you had to learn it really fast. So you could say something on the terms of conducted research on routing servers or something like that within 2 weeks. And the reason why you want to put that is because one, you're actually adding qualitative data to what you're learning. So you learned this within 2 weeks. That's saying, hey, I learned something fast. Or maybe a month, but an ideal, hey, I learned something fast. Instead of saying offered friendly, effective service to all customers, you could put here, and once again, as I mentioned before, remember this person currently works here, but they use past tense. So you have to be mindful of this again. You will have to change it to the present. So that would be creates. So with an S at the end. But for here, offer friendly, effective service, as I mentioned before, instead of saying offered, you can say, every time I do this, I'll do this live, so that's why I pause a lot, everyone. Okay, so for this one, you could say reduces incidents by 50% and provides 100 customer satisfaction, something like that. Or maybe if you earned an award recently at work for providing customer service, you could add that to this as well. If you want to say that you diagnose something, for example, you said for all networks and server issues, if you have a roundabout number of how many servers you diagnose, then you could put a number. So you could say diagnose 100 plus servers and executed resolution by 20%, something of those terms. I would take out use critical thinking to break down problems. No, that's something you would kind of explain in an interview. Like that would be one of those. Can you tell me a time when you had to think on your toes or think quickly? What did you do? What was the outcome? That this bullet point would be something for like an interview for you to practice. So I would take that out. If you want to say you resolve problems, improve operations, and provide it. So this is kind of a repeat. This kind of a repeat of the one above. So I will honestly take that one out because that's a repeat. And also anyone out there, for any job that you have, you want to make sure that you at least have, I say my rule of thumb for bullet points is at least 3 to 5 bullet points, because once again, a recruiter only has 6.5 seconds to look at your resume, and you don't have to list every single task that you did. You really want to have actionable items that you did. So think of things like document your actions that you did at work. And I know you are transitioning, so if I were you, first of all, can you give me a Benz? No, but I would take off automotive technician and your sales associate job. And the reason why is because these are irrelevant to where you want to go. And for here, I will honestly start adding your coursework. So I would take these out, and then under here, after you revamp this a little bit, I will add a header called coursework, add your coursework that you're doing right now. Then I will add another header that says, which is probably down at the bottom, but I will add another heading that says projects, add some projects to your resume. And Okay. Now I feel old. But anyway, you still, yes, still keep your high school diploma on here for now. Because, yes. Okay, yes, so still keep your high school diploma on here for now. Great to have your degree on here because that's what you're going for. Certification is great. Languages is great. You might have like a head up on someone with that, so you keep that on there. Now, for the skills. Communication skills, no. So anything communication skills, problem solving, critical thinking, basically take, basically take all of these out because those are skills you could describe in your job. You don't have to say great communication skills. For example, if you want to say communication skills, you're going to have a statement within your job description that says something, interact with various team members or interacts with cross-functional teams to get, well, not to say to get tasks done, but you just use a different action verb to describe your communication skills. So think of an action verb for communication. So interacts, collaborates, articulates, that'll be an action verb for communication skills. Collaboration, as I said before, that you could put that, take this out, you can put that within a job description. Now, this is great that you have Wireshark. So if you honestly know Wireshark, you know how to look at the packets, you know how to analyze them, then I would add a project, Wireshark, have 3 to 4 bullet points about Wireshark, and that's describing, you know how to use that tool. So that's great. If you have a project where you use Linux, I would add a project about Linux. What did you do with it? What were you trying to configure? Have a project about Linux, and you can still incorporate the network security, the network administration skills within those bullet points. You can also take out analytical skills. If you are going to say computer forensics, then if you have a course that you learned about computer forensics, add that in there. But if not, I would take computer forensics out. And the reason why is because unless you want to go to the digital forensics side and you have projects where you did digital forensics, then that's why you would keep that in there. But if not, that's just like I'm gonna call it a filler keyword for you. So this wasn't bad. If I was to score this, I'll at least give it a C. I have seen worse. So this wasn't bad. So now I'm gonna bring up the next resume I have to do.
While you're getting the resumes pulled up,
Mhm.
just some quick questions that you might be able to answer really
Yes.
quickly. Student says, is it worth listing a language if you aren't totally fluent? And I'm assuming like programming language. It says like a working proficiency.
Oh, yes. So if let's just, okay. So let's just say Java, programming language. Yes, I would say in progress. And then if you are learning the programming language, then add a project. So let's just say you learn Java, you're probably doing a project with Java. So have a project, Java, and then list what you're learning, like 3 to 4 bullet points. Because that at least shows that you're passionate. And if you get a question about it in an interview, you could explain that project that you're working on. So yes, definitely put it, but just make sure you could explain.
The student said, I actually meant a spoken language, but that
Oh,
also works.
spoken.
Sorry, I thought you meant programming.
Yeah, that's a trick. Okay, so that depends on the job. So let's just say you found a job and it says must know French or something. Like that's a requirement, you must know French. So let's just say you're learning French then you can add on your resume French in progress, because that would meet that requirement for that job. But you don't have to list it on your resume if it doesn't relate to the job. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. What she's saying is relevancy. If it's relevant, you can include it.
Okay, so let me pull up the second one, everyone. Oh, how am I doing on time? Because I like to talk. So
It's 7, so you have 30 minutes.
oh, okay. If I over talk, just let me know, because
Mhm.
I like to talk, and if y'all don't have nothing to do, I can. But let me put it next one there. Okay. All right, now, right here, this is one of those fancy smancy, I'm gonna call it Canva ones. Now, once again, this type of resume will work if you are emailing the resume to the recruiter. As I mentioned before, you want to be mindful if it's an ATS system, it might not pick it up. And I also piggyback on that as well, since I've been job searching myself and I have been noticing different ATS systems. Now, this will work if the requirement for you to upload the resume is PDF. But still be mindful. If it does not say PDF and they want you to have a Word version, and you're trying to use this graphic for a Word document, just be mindful that the ATS system might not pick up on all the colors, or it might mess up the 2-column things. You just have to be mindful of that. Now, I like the colors. That's great. Now, once again, I was mentioning about this very long paragraph. Now, for my wonderful person out there that's a bus driver, kudos to you. However, you are not going to be a bus driver anymore, so you will need to revamp this whole entire about you. So for you, you will want to focus on your degree. And for you, ask yourself, one, why are you earning this degree? What is your favorite class? Things of that nature. Oh, also, no, don't put your, I know this is probably not a real street, but also, no, don't put your address. That's not needed anymore. So everyone, do not put your address anymore on resumes. It's not needed. So here, so what's good about this? I do like how it says you have experience in risk analysis and malware analysis. Great. I would take out motivated student working. Don't put motivated student. Just say, you could just say graduate student studying at Northern Virginia Community College, BS in cybersecurity, and you could have one sentence about, so if you say you passionate about risk analysis and malware analysis, then think of a project that you're doing malware analysis about, and then add like one sentence there, and then and have like 3 sentences tops, and then take out all this other stuff because it doesn't matter. As I mentioned before, computer skills, no, take that out. Excellent customer service, take that out. It's great that you have graphic design. You might need that, so keep that in there. As I mentioned before, computer forensics. If you are going for that type of job, keep that in there. If not, I would take it off. Yes, it's great that you have your CDLs, but this is not going to help you get a job in cyber unless you are, wait, no, it's not. Just take that off. Take off the CDL. It's great you have it, but it's not going towards where you're going for. Safe driving, nope, just take all that off. Great that you have honors, great. So for you, because you don't have too much experience, this is a perfect resume where this is strictly a student resume. So for you, you would start adding your coursework. You would start adding projects that you did at school. If you really like Wireshark, as I mentioned in the last resume, add a project about Wireshark, the Nessus, Nmap, add bullet points to describe that project. You can also add graphic design if you want to, because sometimes depending on a company, let's hypothetically speaking, you want to work at, I'm gonna say Chime because I've been looking at jobs at Chime. So Chime, for instance, have a job title that's called Lead Design Program Manager. And for this particular role, you have to be someone that knows about program management duties, but also have some design aspects. So if you understand Adobe Illustrator or have some type of graphic design transferable skills, that'll be a great role. This is just an example of how you can use blended skills to get into cyber on a non-technical side as well. So I just want to put that out there. Another thing with this resume, and I do know for some recruiters, it's a little hard because some recruiters are used to a certain format, which is basically one page. I'm sorry, sometimes the one page and everything I'm going to say is center. And it's hard for them to do the column thing because they might get lost. Like even me, it's hard for me to, okay, the education is over here, but I'm used to it being in the middle. So that's why I say sometimes the two column things might work against you. So be mindful of that. And also here, like you have to have a space right here. Degree, space, associate of applied science, things of that nature. I would say if you, so I have like a love-hate relationship with GPAs. So GPAs is great if you are going for an internship, but most of the time, jobs don't care about your GPA. I'm just gonna keep it real. They don't care about GPA unless it's an internship. Then you have to list your GPA. Other than that, regular job, they don't care about GPAs. So just be mindful of that. So that's all I have on this one. Oh, languages. It's great that you have these languages, but if they're not needed for the job, you can take that out. But it's great that you have those languages. That's all I have for this one. So I'm gonna pull up the third one, and okay, if somebody else has a question, I could answer in between when I pull up this other one too.
Yes. Someone says, should we add our experience if we were back end or web developer before? It is also not related to cyber.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me this. Okay. So, as I always tell people, you actually are in cyber. You are, and this is why I like to talk a lot because I could share this guide later on to show how the web developer is in cybersecurity. So according to the NIST 800-181 cybersecurity workforce document that I live and breathe, and that I actually have a course on YouTube about it, web developer is up under the security provision side, and it will be up under software development. So that is a side of cybersecurity. And we do need people with web developer skills because I see so many jobs for web developer, software engineer, all that is still cyber related, but just in a different area. So yes, you definitely can add that to your resume because sometimes on job searches in general, I'll give you another example because this is how you know I job search too much. I had an interview recently with Gemini. If anybody invests in crypto, this is an exchange app. So I had an interview with Gemini and it was for a technical program manager role. And I did want to interview, however, the hiring manager wanted someone with developer experience. And to me, that didn't make any sense because all the developers I know that like to code like to be by themselves. They don't want to talk to people too much. And I let the recruiter know, okay, well, if you are looking for a developer that wants to transition into a technical program manager role, then you need to indicate that. So I said to say, yes, you are a web developer and you use your transferable skills to get into cyber. You are in cyber though, but just in a different area. So yes, add that to your resume. It's still related. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull up the other resume.
Excuse me, I have a quick question.
Yes.
Yes, so I don't have any background experience in the IT department. I just started like my my degree with NOVA. and I'm graduating this semester. So what shall I do in the job experiences that you were listing earlier? So I just put like the classes that I have taken and the labs that I have done and like the tools that I have used and softwares and things like that, or is it something else?
No, yeah, that's what you would add to your resume. You would strictly add your coursework, and then you would add projects. And I could also give you all an example of a college student resume that I did as well that now works at Amazon. So I'll give y'all, hopefully I can
Yeah,
pull
that
that.
would be great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'll make sure I share that at the end.
Guys,
Let
keep
me,
in mind, we'll have a dedicated Q&A. So if you have a question, just hold it until the end. I don't want everybody jumping off of mute all at one time and then it gets crazy. So another student wanted to know the last interview, what grade would you give it? The first one was a C. What would the last one be?
okay, so that last one, it's gonna need some work. It's gonna need some work. And I'm gonna have to give it I'm gonna give it a C. I don't wanna say a D, but it's gonna need a C, a C. A C is good. Because you still, if you just add, honestly, like I said, for your projects, take off especially that summer with the bus stuff, just really work on a project and it'll get you there. But I will say, now I'm thinking about it, since you can also look at jobs at, I can't never pronounce it, WMATA, so Washington Metro Transportation Authority, they have cybersecurity roles as well, just to let you know. So for the next resume, okay. So this is a resume that is a transition resume. This will be someone that will be up under my transition package. For you out there, it is great that you are a carpenter. However, that is not what you want to do anymore. So your summary is gonna need a full revamp. You're gonna want to focus on what you're learning at school right now, whatever your degree is. You say college, well, you don't want to say college student, but I don't know, cybersecurity student, and focusing on, I'm gonna say network security, just an example. Once again, add a project that you're thinking about, add that as another sentence, and then add like another sentence in there, and then that'll be your summary. Now, because you are transitioning once again, you are, yes, definitely going to focus on your coursework for school, your projects for school. If you are learning any e-learning courses that's cyber related, add that to your resume. Because if I'm looking at your resume and you try to apply to a cyber role with this resume, it's automatically going to get rejected because it's not telling me cyber nothing. Yeah, cyber nothing. I'm going to the skills. Okay, so for instance, one skill you say robotics. That is great. Now, if you have a project that you did something with robotics, add that project to your resume. So of course it's robotics. So you had to learn some type of programming language. Your project will be a robotics project. You're going to have bullet points describing the program languages you had to use, what type of program you were trying to build for the robot, what the robot was trying to do. If you had that skill, add that as a project. That's great. You're taking off building maintenance. You're taking off landscaping maintenance. Great that you have machine learning. Once again, if you are learning about machine learning, I don't care if it's an e-course, if you got a certification, you need to add that to your resume, add that as a project. All this problem resolution, a hotel, you taking all those skills off because it's not related to cyber anymore. So you would take all, well, you still leave Word. Well, see, I don't like to use Excel and Word too much on resumes unless the job description asks for it, because at this point in time, it's 2021. Everyone should already know how to use Excel and Word. Like that's just a given. Unless you don't know it, then hey, put it in there. But unless it does not call for it, I would take that out. So you're gonna take out all these skills and just basically leave the robotics, machine learning, and then add your coursework and add your projects to your resume. Yeah, so whatever this robotics customer service is, I don't know what that is, but if it deals with the robotics I just described, then you're gonna take that off and just add a robotics project. So this would, as I said before, this would be a transition. How they speak of transition resume, and you're trying to transition into cyber from a completely different industry. Now, the skills that you have learned that is transferable, of course, is customer service skills. You definitely have hands-on skills because you're a furniture installer to me. So to me, that means you like work with your hands. In cyber, you will want to focus on, I'm going to say the technical roles, which basically mean you're going to have that speaking, maybe you want to work with coding, anything that's on the technical side that's going to get your mind thinking a lot. So you really want to focus on the technical roles within cybersecurity. So that's my feedback on. Oh, and if you are studying for your degree now, you need to add that to education ASAP. That's all I have on this one.
Okay, let's see what the chat is saying.
Oh, the grade. Yeah, the grade is a bad one. I'm gonna get that. That's a D. The only reason why you have to really think about your transferable skills, why you're getting into cyber, honestly, and then start crafting your resume that way. Because a lot of people, as we already know, hey, I want to get into cyber, and it's just like, okay, well, what do you want to do in cyber? It's so many things that you want to do in cyber. So you really have to ask yourself, why do I want to get in cyber? Even with certifications, why do you not listen to someone else? Why do you want to get that certification? For instance, I'm sure everyone says, go get the Security Plus. It's a great cert to get. You will get a job right away. I'm not going to go too much further into that. I would talk about that offline on my thoughts. I will go a little bit more in depth with my love hate with certs. But I'll do that later on. And I have one more resume, and then I will gladly ask any questions, and then also share my contact information for you all as well. And then also, Brittany, for you, all the students in the class today, I'm going to send you a copy of my ebook, and all the students' emails that you have could have a copy of my ebook.
Perfect. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
You're welcome. And it's a quick read, everyone. I don't bore you at all. It's a very it's a quick read, and it inspires you as well. So that's what I really want to share. Okay, so this is the last resume, everyone. Once again, don't put your address. You don't need it anymore. Skill summary. This is not a skill summary. This is I don't know what I want to do in my life. So you have to revamp this one. Now, yes, you are a college student working towards your, okay. So for you, as I mentioned, for anybody in here that's a student, you just got in, maybe you're a freshman, you don't know what you want to do with your life. Throughout all of your coursework, when you're to yourself, ask yourself, why am I getting this degree? What is my favorite class that I'm just really passionate about and I can see myself doing on the daily basis? Ask yourself that when you're crafting your resume. Now for you, because now you have customer service skills, which is great. But as the last resume, I will focus on your coursework, your projects. As I mentioned before, any e-learning, I cannot talk today, any e-learning that you're doing, add that to your resume. Oh, you have Army experience, that's great. Okay, now, you start to tell your whole life story. That's not what they want. Great that you was a wheel vehicle mechanic. So Army and wheel vehicle mechanics. So for here, you have, of course, for you vehicle mechanics, you're gonna work with your hands a lot. When you're Army, you're gonna focus on this. You wanna focus on, of course, you had to collaborate with people. You had to interact with senior government officials. For your vehicle mechanic experience, you could note how many vehicles you had to work on. So maybe, oh, you still there, okay. So maybe you had to work on, I'm gonna say 50 vehicles. You also know how to, you don't want to use the word follow for your action verb, but you use standard operating procedures to work on your vehicle, to work on a vehicle. So AKA SOPs. That's how you know I support military programs, so I know the military lingo as well. So for this, you want to describe what your task is as a vehicle mechanic. Right now, you're telling me your whole life story. Well, not your whole life story, but you're telling me your story instead of telling me the job. So you definitely want to revamp this whole thing, because a recruiter's not going to care that you was in the reserves and you left for basic training. And congratulations on your rank. Now, you can add your rank to the job description because that's an achievement. So you can say successfully ranked, whatever your ranking is, if it's E3, 4, 5, whatever it is. I think that's Army, but correct me if I'm wrong. But whatever your rank is in the Army, you can add that as a bullet point because that is important. But you definitely just want to focus on the, just focus on that job. Now, I'm a little confused because I don't know if this is a person, but I do know what NGI is, because here, so this right here, this little bit, I'm confused. So are you saying that in the Army you supported NGIA? Because if so, then you need to align this correctly. If not, you need to describe what you did at NGIA. And then you definitely want to take out this shift manager. That's not important. So basically for this resume, honestly, I would take out these 3 positions: the cook, the painter, the receive associate. I would take all that out. I would focus on your coursework, your projects at school. You could keep your Army experience, but you need to describe your role at the wheel vehicle mechanic. So you want to indicate how many vehicles you worked on, who did you have to collaborate with. You had to analyze, as I said before, analyze standard operating procedures or perform standard operating procedures or perform maintenance on the air vehicle, things of that nature. Fuel systems, electronic systems, things of that nature that dealing with the vehicle. And as I said before, if you worked at NGIA, that's great, because to me, it's like a person, and I don't know if this is a reference, so I'm a little confused right here, so I'm not for sure. And take that off. But that's all I have for this one. So this one needs a lot of work. So focus on your schoolwork and focus on the schoolwork, your projects for this particular resume.
All right. Yeah, there was a few questions about that in the chat that said, what do I do if I don't have any experience? And yes, you need to focus on your coursework.
And one thing I want to share, and then I'll be done, because somebody asked a question that I want to ask. I don't want to record it. So hold on 1 second. Oh, there we go. Okay, share screen. Okay, then my last is just saying, thank you everyone for allowing me to speak today about resume writing for your cybersecurity career. I hope this helped you out a lot. If you want to get in touch with me, Twitter, follow me on Twitter. I share all the tea on Twitter, especially my job searching journey that I'm going through. You will learn a lot. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, please add a note Or sometimes if you could not connect with me, then comment on one of my posts and say, hey, Katia, I was in the resume workshop, can you add me? Then I'll add you. And if you're interested in my cybersecurity resume writing services, you will go to my website, which is katiacylife.tech.